So then we get to then his case against me, and which, again, I already told you, it was a total flop. It was a joke. Like, everybody was like, practically, it was just laughable. The judge was just trying not to laugh. It was so lame. And so then it gets to Christina's case. And then she is like a box of rocks. Like, she can't do anything. She is like incapable of doing anything at all. And so whereas I'm totally prepared, I slam it right from the beginning. It's a slam dunk. Then it's her turn, and she's just like a dead fish, like just completely incapable, right? Okay. So then this crazy guy Dale starts presenting his case against her. And then he's starting to provide evidence that seems compelling. And he's saying that she was leading him on. And that when they would drive, because he was letting her drive his vehicle, he was trying to teach her how to drive, and that she was accepting all these gifts from him, and that one time it was in exchange, she gave him a body massage in exchange for the gifts, and he was buying her like G-string like bathing suits, and she even put one on and let him take a picture of her with the G-string bathing suit on out, and they were at some beach, some lake beach and stuff, and he even had the photograph and everything, and to the point where the judge is like, what the fuck? And the judge is questioning Christina, like, is this true? And then Christina just like turns into a ball of emotion, and she just, no, like totally. So she completely flops, like her, and he was like he was showing all this shit, and I'm just like, oh my God, I didn't know anything about the photograph and all this stuff, but like I said, all I know is she is this easily manipulated, gullible, naive, abused, traumatized, meek, shy, soft-spoken, on and on, all this stuff. And so this is kind of what's explaining it to me is that he must have manipulated her and all this stuff, and she's just a stupid fucking, like, she just like, and all the trauma and gullibility and naivety and everything, and so she just got coerced by him and stuff and like this, right? But he's saying that no. He's saying that they did have somewhat of a relationship and blah, blah, blah and all this. And she's in the court, like, dramatically screaming, no, and like getting all, like she's being traumatized because of the photograph and stuff. And I'm just like, what the fuck? So anyways, then the judge awards Christina her restraining order against Dale. She denies Dale his restraining order against her and denies him his restraining order against me, and yet also denies me my restraining order against him, which I didn't care, even though it was bullshit. That's bullshit, but it didn't matter because as long as there's a restraining order to keep him away from her, that's the most important thing. If he wants to come fuck with me some more, if he hasn't learned his lesson already after having gone to jail and gotten arrested, and not only that, so when I found out about that he had all these sex offender warrants in other states, including a failure to register as a sex offender warrant here, and that one of his warrants was attempting to solicit sex from a minor. When I found all this out, I showed it to one of my friends, and he ended up posting it on the town's Facebook page. So this town has a Facebook page, and all the townspeople are always hanging out on it. And so he posts it with a picture and saying that the cops have allowed this guy back out on the street, and what the fuck is going on with the cops, and posted a picture, his mugshot. He found his mugshot online, like the sex offender mugshot, and posted that with the pictures of the police report that I sent him, and posted it all on the town's chatter. And it got like fucking 60 shares. Like everybody was sharing it all, so the whole town was like, now they're all wanting to kill this guy. Right? And also the post was like saying, what the fuck is going on with the cops? Why are they allowing this guy to just walk freely and shit? What the fuck is up with this town and these cops in this town? So it was calling out the cops of the town and calling out Dale for being, and that he was stalking Christina and that he's fucking got all these warrants and all this shit. And here's his mug shot from the fucking warrants. And, and so the town, it goes into an uproar. And so this is like been the talk of the town. This is the only thing going on in this town for like months. And that's all anybody's like, this is the talk of the town. This is the front page news of the town. And it's this big dramatic thing about stalking and sexual abuse and you know, etc. and all this stuff. Like this big scandal of controversy. And so anyways, so this is all what happened, right? And so now, in the meantime, she has quit her job, which I told her she should quit her job, because if they're going to treat her, if her job is going to treat her like that, then fuck them, you know? She was like the hardest working person there. Everyone else just kind of goofed off and act like whatever. She was always busted her ass, right? And so she quit her job. And then I told her to file for unemployment, which she didn't believe me. Because if you quit your job, you can't get, normally you don't get unemployment. But I told her that she had a case. So she didn't believe me. So I had to coerce her into filing for unemployment. And then the court date took place, and then she couldn't represent herself, so we had to ask permission that I represent her on her court date, and the judge agreed. With her consent, the judge agreed, and so it was me representing her in her court date because of all the trauma that she's been through. And so I represented her on the court date, and I got her unemployment, and so then she was on unemployment, which to her shock, and she couldn't believe that and I was like, I was trying to tell you, why you don't listen? So anyways, so she's on her unemployment, and by this time we're in a relationship. You know, we had, the bad guy is, in the meantime, has gone to prison. He's in prison. He has gone to literal, not jail, prison. And so it's kind of a story. It's kind of one of these, like a story, like a happily ever after type story, you know, where the evil bad guy gets locked away and the innocent people walk off holding hands into the sunset, or kind of thing, right? And so we're in this having a relationship, and you know, there is still a lot of stuff because this girl is like always presenting herself as this totally traumatized person who is practically paralyzed by life itself and needs someone to hold their hand through so much of everything and carry them through so much. And so, like, when I said that I'm like Morpheus healing Neo, that's what it is. I'm really protecting her and keeping the fucking evil at bay. Okay. And so some months go by, and then we're at a coffee shop, and you know, we're having just typical kind of relationship stuff, nothing major, but kind of like little stuff here and there. And I'm having to be extra patient because of the state of trauma that she constantly appears to be in, which seems to be understandable because of all this abuse and all this weirdo fucking Aleister Crowley magic shit and all this abuse and insane shit going on with her and her ex. And the whole time her ex has been stalking her over the phone, like blowing up, harassing her, won't let her talk to her boys, and everything he's doing is illegal. So in the meantime of all this, I'm dealing with that, and I'm trying to help her through all this stuff because he's like, this guy, her ex is as big of a psycho as the stalker guy, and won't let her see her or talk to her children on the phone, and is using the children as cannon fodder to. It's like everything is just constant psycho though, so nonstop, you know, constant black cloud. Okay. So we're at the coffee shop, and and we're talking about something, and her something on the conversation about her rent comes up, and so we're kind of like discussing. I was like half paying attention, kind of just like small talking about her rent or whatever, and then she sounds like she said something about that she doesn't have rent money, and so I was like, wait, what did you just say? And she's like, well, rent's coming up, and I don't have any more money, and I'm like, what the fuck? Well, what happened to all that unemployment you've been collecting? Like, where did all that money go? And she doesn't have an answer. She's like trying to tell me she doesn't know. And I'm like, what? How could you not know where all that money is gone? Like, you've been collecting unemployment for 6 months. What do you mean you don't have any money to pay the rent? See, now this has to go back into the backstory some more. So I never wanted to live with her. And I made it clear. I set some boundaries in our relationship, and I just told her, I want to be in a relationship with her. I'm willing to take this risk and be in a relationship with her, even though there's a lot of red flags and stuff. Like, this isn't typically an ideal relationship to get in, but I'm willing to take that risk with her and stuff. Although, even though that's the case, I do have some boundaries, and one of them is I like living alone. And so she was living in her RV, but she didn't have to worry about the stalker guy anymore. So it was perfect. The stalker guy's in prison, so she doesn't need to live with me, and I prefer living alone. And there's no need to rush our relationship and live together. And I think we need to just take it slow, and blah, blah, blah. Because she was like clinging to me. She was very clingy. It was like she was telling me I love you from the first week or something. And I'm like, dude, wait a sec, hold on. And trying to explain to her how all the trauma she's been through, really there's no need, please, like the love bombing with the love bombing. And again, I didn't know that much about narcissism at the time. Love bombing is a really stark characteristic of a narcissist. I didn't know any of this, but she's like love bombing me in the first week. She's telling me she loved me, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And so that's why I was trying to set boundaries. And I really did. I wanted to live alone. I didn't want to live with her. And I didn't want her to become dependent on me, because her and this guy had such an extremely fucked up codependent relationship and I was trying to make her aware of this, that I'm a codependent as well. And so we need to be careful in this relationship we're having. We don't want it to end up a codependent relationship, because that's what she just got out of a codependent relationship. So I was breaking all the rules with relationship stuff by consenting to get in a relationship with her. But I was willing to take the risk because, rules are not always hard and fast. And we saw some miracles, like on July 4th, him getting arrested. We saw more miracles. He ended up going to prison, la, la, la. So it just seemed like, that we were this was meant to happen, And, but anyway, so she's telling me she doesn't have money for rent. And so then I'm like getting frustrated, like, why do you not know what happened to all your money? What do you mean you don't know? And then she starts getting more traumatized the more I'm like probing, like, what the fuck are you talking about? You don't know. And I'm always kind of a cynic, outspoken person. I'm just a cynic. And I'm not, and I just speak my mind, I don't, and so with her, I always had to be extra careful, but nonetheless, my personality, I'm just a cynic. That's just who I am, and I'm not going to change for anybody, and so, like, when I would start in situations like that, I would be like, what? Like, what the fuck, What do you mean you don't know? And then she starts like a turtle cowering in her shell, like I'm some abusive asshole, when I'm not. I'm just being myself, I'm just like, what? So this is all the dynamics of the way everything worked between us, right? And so I'm like, what? So what are you going to do? You're just going to go be homeless? I mean, what are you going to do? You don't have rent money. What do you mean? So, okay, you don't know where your money is. All that money's gone. You don't know where it went. Like, it just spent itself. So what are you going to do, though? And then she's just like, and that's the thing. that you got the flat affect, the disassociation, all this stuff. Whenever a meaningful conversation it needs to be had, complete flat affect, complete disassociation, total shutdown, and just put a pouty face on. And it was always like this. And I always had to just attribute it to all this trauma she's been through with her ex, and all this trauma with the stalker, and all this other trauma, and so I'm always having to excuse all of this, but it's just always happening, and I'm always having to take care of her and excuse her inability to take care of herself because of all this trauma, and she's a big victim. And so then I'm like, all right, I'll call my boss and see if my boss will allow you to live on the property with me. See, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to live alone and her live alone. I didn't want us to live together. But now it's either we live together or she can just go figure it out on her own. I'm not helping her no more. And I didn't have the heart to like just cut her off like that and just say, hey, sorry, man, you're on your own. Because she would have probably gone back to her psycho ex, which, by the way, she has done, it appears. Yeah, imagine that, right? So I'm like, all right, I'll call my boss and see if my boss will allow me and you to live together on the property. So I call my boss, I explain it to my boss. My boss agrees. Yeah, sure. In the meantime, she had gotten a pit bull mastiff puppy, Christina had, during all this time, which was another thing where I was like, she just got it without saying anything to me, and then one day all of a sudden it's like she's got this pit bull mastiff puppy, and I'm like, dude, do you realize how much it is to care for a pit bull mastiff puppy? Like you have to process through all this trauma and all this insanity. You don't have time to be taking care of a pit bull mastiff. Do you realize how much goes into taking care of a pit bull mastiff? And she didn't believe it. She's just like, I was upsetting her by pointing that out, so I had to back off. I said, okay. Because I don't want to be the one to end up having to take care of it because she can't. So her decisions affect me as well, and she doesn't seem to understand this. And when I bring it up, she just starts acting like she's a victim, and so I back off. Okay, hey, don't get me the wrong way, whatever. Constant, nonstop. So by this time, she's got a fucking pit bull mastiff that's like 5-6 months old. And so my boss agrees that she can move onto the property with me, but that we have to live in the same RV. We can't live in separate RVs because she's not going to be paying. My boss isn't going to be paying all this extra money. So we can live together, but we have to live in the same RV. We can't live in separate RVs. So now we're moving in together. So I'm moving in with this chick. We get her RV over there. All this other crazy shit's going on. All this stuff I'm missing. Because this is such a long story. So we get to get the RV over there. And then it's time to arrange the RV so that it's livable for both of us. Because she'd been living in it alone with this dog. And so now I have to move into her RV. And so then when I'm looking around, it's like totally fucked up. It's like a Breaking Bad RV. It's just like crazy. And so I have to do everything. I have to, there's like piles of dog shit, 6 months of dog shit underneath one of the swivel chairs in the RV. I mean, it's just pure insanity. There's all the equipment to make DMT. I don't know if you've ever seen all the equipment that is required to manufacture DMT. All that shit's in there. There's like jars, big glass jars full of this black tar shit that is some of the components of making DMT. So they have all this shit, all this DMT shit in there, like all this shit. So I'm like, all this has got to go, So I did all this work by myself to set up the RV so that it was livable for me as well as her. Not just her. I have to live in here too. And you got DMT shit, you got dog shit under the thing. Like the whole place fucking doesn't even, it's not organized. It's all chaos. Shit's falling apart, everything. So I went in and I fucking made that fucking RV like a home. And it transformed it from a Breaking Bad RV to a fucking home, a nice home. Like you can see what I do with my place. This is my trailer, you know. I don't just live in just a Breaking Bad trailer. Like I make it a homey. I give it a sense of where it feels like home, not just some trailer I'm squatting in. You know what I'm saying? I can't live like that. She can, I guess. I can't. And dog shit, piles of dog shit, absolutely not. So this is when it's like obvious we have some big issues. And if we want to get through this, we need to buckle down and start getting responsible and stop fucking playing games and get real, because this is fucking real, okay? So by now, it's 2019. And guess what? Just as we're in the heat of all of this fucking shit, not to mention the heat literally, the summers here are 125 degrees. You don't go outside during the summer in the desert here. You stay inside, which makes it even more important that you set up your living space so that it's comfortable. Because if you're going to be living in the desert, you're going to be spending a lot of time during the summer in your trailer. So you better make it a pleasant place to hang out instead of just like a crack fucking meth lab that you're squatting in. So yeah, and it's 2019. Well, guess what happens? Y'all know what happens in 2019, right? Mask mandates, lockdowns. So now, not only are we dealing with all this other insane shit, now mix that in with lockdowns and mask mandates and all this. So there you go. I'll table it for now, and then we'll try to finish this up at a later date.